now entering the Phantom Squad podcast. Enjoy the madness.
Hey everyone, this is going to be another episode of the Phantom Squad podcast. My guest this week is Nakia Burrise. You may know her as the Yellow Ranger from Power Rangers Zero and Power Rangers Turbo. How's it going?
Good. It's Power Rangers Zeo, by the way, not Zero.
Oh, Zeo. Oh, okay.
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Now, I watched them a little bit, those two series growing up. I started with Mighty Morphin. So, did you watch the series when you started out, or did you know about the original series?
You know, I was a college student at the time, and I was not familiar with Power Rangers. So even when I went in to audition for the show, which I should have watched it before I went into the audition, but I did not. So I went into the audition, and I just knew it was a television show. I knew that I was auditioning for a series regular. I didn't know that I was going to be auditioning for a Power Ranger. I know that they told me to wear yellow, but so I knew very little about it when I went in, which could be, a good thing or a bad thing, depending, because sometimes your nerves can get the best of you if you know that you're going up for a huge role. So no, I did not know about Power Rangers before I auditioned.
Oh, so they were like, you're just going to be part of this little side thing. We don't have a name for it. And there's a lot of stuff like that for Star Wars movies. They're like, this is Project Blacklist or Black Star. We're not going to give you the full of what you're going into.
Yeah, so I knew it was Power Rangers. I believe they told me the name. It was Power Rangers, but I didn't look into it at the time. And it wasn't, in the 90s, there was no internet where you could just hop on the internet and look up Power Ranger episodes or anything like that. So I didn't know. No, I didn't know any of that. I knew that I needed to wear yellow and that I would possibly be a series regular. I did not know I was replacing anyone. I didn't know I was going to be a Power Ranger. Yeah, all of that information was not available to me.
So how was it for you when you found out what the project was and when you actually got on set? How was that for you?
Oh my gosh, I was elated. At the time, I was studying theater, film, and television at UCLA. So to be able to be blessed with an actual job before graduation, it was indescribable. I remember screaming when I got the phone call, calling my parents, and we we're all screaming and just very, very excited. And even after I got on the show, I was still a full-time student. I did not quit college to work on the television show. So, with God's grace, I found a way to balance them both where I had like independent study because I was a junior at the time. So I still needed a year. And I think I graduated after 4 years and 1/4. So I somehow worked it out with the Power Ranger schedule and school that I could do both because I was on set from like 5 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. So obviously that's the whole school day. I would have tutors come to my house and yeah, it was quite an adventure, but I made it through. I graduated and I got to do both.
Awesome, awesome. So, because I know a lot of times that's a struggle is doing schooling and being a child or teenage actor, balancing those things together is very hard and can be can very damage a lot of child actors as well.
You said being a child actor?
But yes, I know that a lot of times, like schooling and stuff, and being a child actor or a teenage actor, kind of conflict with each other a lot of the times, and kind of messes up the kids sometimes.
Yes, yeah. And even though I wasn't, a child, I was 20 when I booked Power Rangers and 21 when I started filming because I had to wait a couple of months before filming. And actually, no, it wasn't a couple months. It was. I remember turning 21. I booked it when I was 20 and ended up turning 21. So it was somewhere around in September, October when I started filming. But yeah, I've heard stories of child actors and its difficulty. And, Blake Foster, who was on this show, Turbo with me, was a child actor.
Yes.
Hearing some of his own stories of being homeschooled and, missing out on prom and missing out on, childhood experiences that you'd only get, when you're in school and not having that opportunity, when you're filming, which, it's a give and take because not many kids can say, oh, I was a star in a television show, you know? So there's things that you have to give up to pursue your dreams.
Yes. Now I know a lot of the Power Ranger actors are. I know you guys are a very close knit family. Is it just from the series that you worked on, or is it all together like a alumni situation?
Oh, it would definitely be an alumni situation. There's so many Power Rangers that I've met with conventions. The conventions have definitely brought all of us together, have given us, an opportunity to meet all of the newer generations and so forth, which has been really, really great. Um, but obviously you're probably a little bit closer to the people that you've worked with. But Kat and I, we have Power Rangers playback together, and Karen and I, who I ended up replacing. Actually, I didn't work with her, but I also have a business with her, a convention, and this is all through meeting at conventions. Like we've become such good friends with cast members that we were not on screen with. So yes, we're definitely tight, those of us that worked together, but we've become really tight with the Time Force cast and other members and other seasons. Yeah, it's just a whole big, large family. It's like,
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I kind of figured that. I know that because I know a lot of you guys do the same conventions. I'm a big convention person. I just found out about them when I was like, I think 15 for the first time, and somebody who had been in it since the 80s was like, "Here's this world of your stuff you like. You get to meet the people." And I was like, "Whoa, mind blown."
right, right. Yeah.
So
No.
with Blake Foster, I know that he was a lot younger than the rest of you. How was that for you seeing him go from that little kid on set to the man that he is now?
When I saw Blake for the first time as him being an adult, it completely blew my mind because, when I left the show, I didn't see anyone except Kat. Kat was the only one that I saw for many years. I would say I left the show in '97. I didn't see any of the Rangers until I did my first convention, which I think was 2008 or something like that. Um, so when I saw Blake for the first time, I was just, oh my gosh, I was excited because he was like my little brother on set. Um, but he's a man. And him as a 12-year-old child, and he's bigger, taller than us, bigger than us, and just a full-on man. It was great to see, really, really great to see. And we had a great time on set with him. It took a little bit of adjustment because we had a lot of wondering, like, how is he at 12 when we morph? How is he going to stretch? Like, how is he? Because we had stunt guys, so but it all worked out.
Yes. Now, that's a question I always wanted to ask. Like, I know a lot of the time when it came to the production, a lot of it was spliced from like the Japanese stuff, and it wasn't actually you guys in the suit. How much would you say ratio wise was like you guys as the actual actor in the suit themselves?
Whenever you saw us without the helmet on, that was the only time, because whenever we had the helmet on, those were the suit actors. Um, they would be filming on second unit and we would be filming on first unit so that we could get all of the episodes out. We would do 50 episodes per season, so we were doing 3 episodes in 10 days. So we had first unit doing where we would have the actors acting, and then a second unit would be all the stunt guys and the villains and the monsters. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've always wondered that. I'm like, I know there's a lot of stunt. Just, I always kind of figured that it was like, yeah, with the helmets off, it's us, but everything else when the helmet's on is none of us.
Right.
Which I think I've always heard though that the one who played Tommy, I think I always forget his name. I know it's the JJD or
David Frank.
yes. Now I know, did he do a lot of his stunts? Because I know he was actually one of the ones that was actually a martial artist.
All of the guys in our season were martial artists. All of them.
Oh, cool.
Amazing martial artists. So when Power Rangers first started, yes, Walter talks about him doing his own stunts, and Austin and Jason David Frank, and yeah, Mighty Morphin, they were doing their own stunts, and that was before they had a larger budget to bring in, more stunt guys and so forth. And then when the budget got a little bit bigger to hire stunt guys and, so that the actors don't get hurt, because that would like cut production time as well when, you have one of your actors has a broken leg or a broken arm. So yeah, some of the Mighty Morphin cast were doing their own stunts, and I don't know when they stopped, which season they stopped. But yes, they were doing their own stunts.
Awesome. Yeah, I never knew that. Like I said, I knew just for him. I didn't know about the other ones as well. That's awesome. Now, did you ever get to see, because I know a lot of as a kid growing up, you're like, oh, it's this big giant thing. And then when you see the behind the scenes, it's just guys in rubber suits being the big monsters. Did you ever get to see like them filming those parts of the scenes of the monsters battling in the suits or?
Yeah, occasionally we did some second unit filming where we had to fight. Well, especially in Turbo. During the Turbo is when we got to fight, because Zeo we didn't fight at all. They were all stunt guys and we didn't fight outside of our suits. So Turbo I loved because we got a chance to fight. We were in regular clothes, not in our suits, but we got a chance to fight. And so some of those fights, all of those fights basically were with second unit. And we were fighting with the monsters and the villains and so forth. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So a lot of it from what you saw, because I know, like I said, with the cutscene, a lot of it was actually filmed when they had the budget. It was not like, because I know with Mighty Morphin, a lot of it was just reused Japanese footage.
Oh, it was still reused Japanese footage with us too. Um, Most of the episodes, I think all of the seasons of Power Rangers was Japanese footage because it all stemmed from the Japanese show. They were, some of the storylines would be based off of their monsters. And so the American version, they would end up writing their monsters into the story so that it could match the Japanese footage. So that's how that worked.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. So it's kind of like, this is what we got. So we're going to slice in and film just enough where it fills the gaps.
Yes, yep. I mean, we did a lot of filming though, so that was great.
Awesome, awesome. For both sets, you said Turbo was your most fun compared to Zeo. So so did you like filming on that one more than the other set, or which one was your favorite for like overall vibes?
I wouldn't say, I'm asked that question often, and I often say that I liked both seasons for different reasons. I liked Zeo because it was the introduction of my character into the series. And so my character had, episodes that catered around Tanya. And I loved that. I loved that there were specific episodes about my character. That's what I loved about Zeo. And then Turbo, what I loved about Turbo were the fact that we got a chance to fight. I loved the fighting opportunities. That was really, really fun for me. And then obviously for Turbo, we ended up filming a movie. So that was great as well.
Yes. Now, one thing I want to bring up and talk about, and you probably get asked a lot too, like the actress before you, how was it for you being like a female of color representing this hero character for little girls like that would look up to you? How was that? How did you interpret that and look at that?
I am still to this day honored, blessed to have young little babies come to me, young and old, come to me and tell me how my character inspired them, how they were able to feel like they could do anything once they saw me on television, once they saw someone that looked like them. It encouraged them, inspired them, uplifted them. And, I in turn tell them the same thing, that I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for the fans that appreciated my character and love Power Rangers. So it's truly an honor whenever I go to a convention or whenever I get a message on my website or one of my social media platforms and someone saying that they loved my character and really loved me, and it's a blessing, and I don't take that lightly at all.
That's amazing. Like I said, I'm glad to hear that. And that was for me as well. Like, I guess for a lot of us, we were who watched the show were like outcast or were, not the social norm. And so watching you guys, like seeing you and seeing the diversity of the cast, like, wow, look at that. And that makes me feel like I can do anything.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
And then I had a joke because my parents wanted to give me the Red Ranger stuff, but I always wanted to get the Blue Ranger for Mighty Morphin because my brother, he was 10 years older than me, so I got a lot of his hand-me-downs. And so I watched the later seasons, but I'm like, I want to be the Blue Ranger because he doesn't have as much responsibility as the red one.
I love that. I love your honesty. That's great. That's great.
I'm like, yeah, the Red Ranger's like, let's go. And Billy's like, hold on, wait, let's think this out first. I'm like, see, that would be me in this situation.
That's great.
Now, I see also that one thing I want to ask about, like the movie that I seen doing some research, The Order. Is there anything that you can talk about development on that, or because I know it had been delayed? I know there was some trailers in 2016. Has there been more develop on The Order, or do you know anything more about that?
Well, Karen is relentless with trying to get this project off the ground. Yes, we were set back by Screen Actors Guild, which is the actors union, and there was so much that was involved, and it really bankrupted the production, which is why we didn't end up filming. And since then, Karen has been, picking up the pieces, getting a team together so that we could try to get this project out. And it's still in development. Um, she is determined, and I am right on the side of her, helping in any way that I can. I've come in as one of the producers to try to help to get this done. So, God willing, this year you'll hear something great coming from it. But we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome, awesome. Now I know I couldn't remember if was there any fan funding that, because I know there's a lot of fans that would love to, support it and get this thing made. Was there any talk about fan funding or?
Yes, that's where it was. It was an Indiegogo project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And there were some issues with the Screen Actors Guild and so forth that ended up causing the production to be at a standstill. Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I know there's a lot of because I'm working on a show getting developed myself, and I'm working on a pitch back, and I know there's a lot of things that people are like, oh, you just can't. There's a lot of things you got to go through. Oh, you just can't get a movie made. There's a lot of steps that people don't realize when you're developing like an idea or a property to get made.
Exactly. Exactly. I wish it was just, oh, go out and make it. No, there's a lot of blue tape and red tape and yellow tape and a whole bunch of tape that you have to deal with. So, yeah.
Yes. Now I've also seen that you have some like voiceover credits on like a lot of like the Barbie movies. How did you get into from going from like on camera to voiceover? Or did you always kind of like the voiceover side of things, or how did that come about?
Well, that's really ironic that you would ask that. That's cool. One of our, well, he was our audio director that did the voiceovers for Power Rangers, Scott Page. He ended up leaving Power Rangers way after I had left, and he started working at Mattel. And while he was at Mattel, he would call me in for auditions. And so one of the auditions was for a Barbie movie called Mermaid's Tale, and I ended up booking the role. And then they filmed another, what was it, a sequel, Mermaid's Tale 2. And so I reprised my role as Fallon. And then from there, they liked my voice and they offered me the role of Nikki in Barbie's Life in the Dream House. And then I start doing, various Mattel commercials and the continued series and then some of the Barbie movies. And so, yeah, it's come full circle. But it was Scott Page that brought me into Mattel, that introduced me into the world of voiceover, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, he's been amazing.
Awesome. So it kind of, the Power Rangers, another thing kind of gave you another leeway into another venture in your career as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, for you, were you a Barbie fan as a little girl? And if so, how was that being a part of that legacy?
Oh, I was definitely a Barbie fan. I had my little brown Barbie dolls, my little Caucasian Barbie dolls, my little whatever ethnicity Barbie dolls I could find. We would have dinner parties, and Ken would come and hang out. So it was really great. I remember being at Mattel for the very first time, and they gave me a tour. It's an extraordinary place to be, and just the history of the Barbie and seeing its manifestation from the very beginning to where it is currently, and how, they've just expanded their brand so far and beyond. It's a blessing to be a part of it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I'm hoping to do some more Barbie gigs in the near future.
Awesome. Now I see one of your credits. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. And it didn't really show me on IMDb like their credits or anything. I was trying to find it. So how was it working on the Jack Frost movie, the Michael Keaton film?
So that one was interesting. You wouldn't see me on there because my role was cut.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what happens in movies is they film, as the whole script, and then some in addition to that, and then they have to trim it down. So they take out the parts that are not, really adding to the story. And my character was in a bank, and I don't even remember what my lines were or anything like that, but they ended up, I think they kept part of the bank scene, but it really didn't add that much to the story. So yeah, so I did film it, but my part ended up being cut, unfortunately.
And I'm gonna guess from that, was there any scenes or from that Michael Keaton or any like the any of those bigger name actors like from that film, or are the head actors in that film, or were you got to interact with them?
No, I didn't, but at lunchtime we did. Carly Preston, very, very beautiful woman. Sorry to hear of her passing. Um,
Yes.
Yeah, it was really great to see. Yeah, when we all had lunch, like everybody, all of the actors that were in the film would all have lunch in the same area. So that was about the bit of interaction that I would have with them, just being introduced and saying hello and so forth. But yeah, I remember it being so cold, and we filmed that in Lake Tahoe. I think it was Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and it was great. It was a lot of fun, a great experience. I didn't meet Michael Keaton then that I could remember, but I met him last, no, it's not 2020. Was it 20? No, 2020 was COVID. So must have been 2019. I ended up meeting him at a comic convention, and he was really nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard good things about him because I know a lot of some of those Batman actors. I've heard that they're not as friendly to some of the fans, and I'm like, but you're a part of this big thing, so it's good to hear that he is, even though he's one of like the biggest, probably the everyone's probably go to besides Adam West, that he's a nice guy because I've always loved him as Batman.
Yeah. And I think it's so hard. I'm just going to say this as an actor myself. One poor experience with a fan doesn't make the actor an awful person, because sometimes, a person may come up to an actor or a public figure, and that public figure is just having a bad day, or something awful had just happened, and the fan comes up at the wrong time. And you end up coming across as an awful person because of the way that you're responding to that fan. But then there are I have met some actors that are just absolutely awful, and just all around from beginning to end. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I feel bad about one experience that I had. And I adore my fans, Power Ranger fans, Barbie fans, anybody that comes to my table. I had a really bad experience at an airport. It happened to be in Florida, and it was just that they were just really running me around, and wouldn't check my bag. I think I had to take the stuff out of my bag because it was like a half a pound too big, or so I can't even remember, but it felt like it was something that really it didn't have to be that big. Oh, maybe it was my banner. I was trying to send my banner through or something. And while in the midst of this, I had just finished, dealing with the airport receptionist and bag checker and all of that stuff. I was not in the best of moods, and another airport worker had recognized me and wanted a picture or something, and I just was not. I was still trying to come down off of what had just happened. And so I felt really bad, the way that I responded to him, not in a negative way. I was just like, no, not right now. But then when I walked away, I came back to try to find him because I wanted to tell him how sorry I was because I felt so bad. But I just wanted to throw that out there because sometimes people get a bad rep for one situation, for one time, one meeting, and they just don't know what happened a moment before that fan walked up to them. So.
Oh yes, and like I've met a lot of actors and different, voice, regular, on camera. I've met a lot of people, and like I try to tell people too, like they're still human. These people are still human. Yes, they're recognized by millions of people, but they're still human. But I can say and I've had one of my friends, I had a bad experience with an actor from a television series, and I said, and they're like, I don't want to meet any celebrity. I was like, don't say that. I was like, I've met a lot of them at conventions. I was like, every single one I've met is a sweetheart. So whoever said don't meet your heroes, I don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, well, good. Yeah. Yeah, that's good to hear.
Now, have you got to be friends with since you've been doing voiceover? Because I know a lot of times uh they're in the booth when before COVID. Have you got to be like close friends with any like voice actors or anyone that's like you grew up listening to or watched as a child yourself or
Um, Let me think about that. You know, most of the time, majority, 98% of the time, when you go inside of the booth, you're in there by yourself. You're not there with the other actors. There were a few times when I filmed the most recent Barbie's Life in the Dream House where I played um, Principal Miller. The whole cast was in there. The leads were in there together, and that was not the norm for me. Normally, when I do voiceover, I'm just in there with the session runner, the director, and the producers, and there's no other talent in there. You may see them in passing, and you say hello. Actually, Johnny Young Bosch, who was on Power Rangers with me, he is a huge anime star now, and he actually was in a couple of the Barbie projects that I did. So I would see him in passing and we would just chat it up a little bit before we go in. So our paths would cross. But for the most part, in the sessions that I've been a part of, I'm normally booked in there by myself. So I don't really develop a huge rapport with the other actors, unfortunately. But I know that there's some other anime stars that have really great relationships with some of their coworkers, some of their, peers that are inside of the shows with them. I don't know how they, if they do like a whole cast read when they're inside of the booth or not. But yeah, that's been my experience.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I've had two different ones from like the ones like your perspective. I know with H. John Benjamin, who was the voice actor for Archer and Bob's Burgers and Bob, and he had that experience when I told him about like when I was talking to him about Mindy Cohen, how she was like, yeah, I was in there with Frank Welker and Casey Kasem, and it was just amazing when she started doing Scooby Doo, and he was like, wow, I thought that we all did it all by ourselves. He's like, that's how we do Bob's Burgers. It's usually me and one other person.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's just different depending on what studio you're filming in. I mean, you're recording in.
Yes. Which I know for her, I know she said that it was just crazy seeing especially all those legends going in this. I didn't know if you were have able to rub elbows with any like voiceover legends of like, wow, you were the voice of this character when I was a kid, or
Yeah. Yeah.
because I know for her, she said it was crazy meeting Frank Welker because her being growing up watching the original Scooby Doo, like her getting to work with Frank Welker and all that original cast was just a dream for her. And she's like, and they just treated me the same, even though I wasn't on camera. Sometimes they look at on camera people a little bit differently.
Yeah, you know what, I feel like Acting is more of the world that I've been in for 20 some odd years. So the voiceover world is still, I still feel like I'm getting my feet wet. I haven't really done anime, which is, huge. Barbie, it's animation, but it's not considered anime, I believe. So I'm looking forward to more unique experiences, and I would love to run into some of the characters that I remember growing up to. I used to watch Scooby Doo and Rugrats, and when I've come across, at conventions, some of the actors, some of the voice actors that have played some of the characters that I've loved, I ask them to do it and just get, fangirl and all of that stuff. It's great. I think it's amazing how talented some people are, where they can just manipulate their voices just amazingly and play 50 different characters. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but there are some extremely talented voiceover actors that I have met.
Yes. Now, like I've been to, have you been to Dragon Con here in Atlanta?
I have not, but I do have a con in Atlanta called Ranger Stop and Pop. We had our first year in 2019, and we were supposed to have it in 2020, but COVID pushed it back. So we're going to be having it in 2021 in August. I have not gone to Dragon Con yet, but I've heard really great things. I know it's huge.
Yes, it's like the East Coast version of San Diego. I think this year they had estimated, I think before COVID, there was supposed to be like 100,000 people, because the year before, I think they had like 85,000 people.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard it's monstrous. That one, New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con are huge.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's a big con, but it is very, you feel very much home and at safe. Like I'm a very, even though I host a podcast, this is what I'm trying to get out of my shell. I am a very in public. I'm a very social, have a lot of social anxiety. So when I go to these cons, like my dad was like, "Wow, you just talked to like three random people." I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm with my people. I feel safe here." So it's a very you feel very safe and at home, and very, especially being an actor and being someone who's big in like a pop culture like Power Rangers, like you will feel extremely loved at Dragon Con.
Oh, well, I've had a couple of friends that have gone, um, have participated in Dragon Con, so I've heard great things about it.
Yes, yes. And that's a lot of things with the voice actors guys I've met there too, like Rob Paulson, that guy, he is amazing. I love that guy. I've met, like you said, it's same people, just their voices. Like I've had the voice of Winnie the Pooh. That was my character as a like 5-year-old kid. And when he did that in my ear, just my 5-year-old self just went over me. And it was just amazing. Just like I said, just meeting those people, and just the convention circuit itself is just, I wish, I knew a lot of people know about them, but I wish the more people would, get to know about more conventions, because it's just a great, great thing.
Yeah, yep, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, is there any projects that you're working on right now that you are able to talk about or want to promote or anything?
Yes, I'll start off with my YouTube channel, Power Rangers Playback, where Catherine Sutherland and myself, Kat was the Pink Ranger on Power Rangers with me. We started a YouTube channel a year ago, actually. I think it was a little less than a year ago, called Power Rangers Playback, where we watch Power Ranger episodes, we comment, we review, we have special guests that talk about their time on Power Rangers. And in that particular episode, we have live interviews. We have a game show called Who Knows It Best, which is Power Rangers trivia. And we're going to be adding other trivia. And it's two Power Rangers battling to see who knows more Power Ranger trivia than the other. And we have a podcast that's launching on Monday, February 1st, called Super Chat with Kat and Nakia. And it's going to be on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. And then just me personally, I have a recurring role on a television series called Danger Force, which is on Nickelodeon, where I play the mother of two superhero twins, which is quite ironic, me being a superhero at one point myself. So it's been really cool. Yeah, really, really cool.
Awesome. Now, if I'm correct, I think my nephew watched it. Is that like a spin-off of the Henry Danger series that was on?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, okay. I figure I think I've seen that because I think my nephew was telling me about it. He's like, they got a sequel and there's more of them.
Yeah, yeah. It's well written. It's a lot of fun. The kids are great. We have a great time on there. I've been on a few of the episodes, and I look forward to being on more. So, yeah, it's been great. Fun times.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, I know you said you're working on some commercials. Is there anything with that like you can talk about for those commercials for us to look forward to, or?
Unfortunately, I can't really talk about any of that, but just stay tuned. I'm always posting on my Instagram and my social media handles, so just stay tuned there as well. And
Awesome.
I
Cool,
share
cool.
my Instagram handles. My Instagram handles is Nakia Burrise. Facebook is nakia.burrise, and my Twitter is Nakia Burrise.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, I'm like I said, I'm so glad that you because I was like, let me see if I can get some of the Rangers. I'm looking, and then you messaged me back. I was like, awesome, I got one.
Well, it's been great being on your show, and it's been lovely getting a chance to get to know you as well, and many blessings on your voiceover endeavors. Just go for it, go for it, go for it. It'll happen. Hi, this is Nakia Burrise from Power Rangers Turbo, Zeo, Barbie's Life in the Dream House, Danger Force, and so much more. And you're listening to Fandom Squad Podcast.
All right, everyone. That's going to be another episode of the Fam Squad podcast.
You are now leaving the Fandom Squad podcast.